Movie sequel ideas. Hi, how are you? You know, I think Back to the Future was onto something. Instead of making sequels to movies, what if we remake movies that already exist from different points of view? So, spoiler alert, Back to the Future 2, Marty and Doc go back to 1955, and we see the same scenes as in the first movie, but from different perspectives. And we see characters' lives in different ways. And I think that opens up all kinds of different opportunities that we can do for new movies. I mean, we've got millions of movies with all these characters that, we used once for some movie, we can use them again. So what if we refilmed an old movie, but from a different supporting character's point of view, like Yoda? What if there was a movie about Yoda where, we're just hanging out with Yoda on Dagobah and he's talking to snakes and birds, and then Luke arrives and he trains Luke, and then Luke leaves and we continue hanging out with Yoda while he makes dinner and stuff. So we see Empire Strikes Back, but from Yoda's point of view. That's a whole new movie. But wait, I have more ideas that I have written down to remind myself. So Terminator 2. So, when Arnold walks into the bar and he needs some clothes and he gets in a bar fight with those guys, what if we do a movie about those guys? And we showed the scene before Arnold walks in, and they're discussing, their favorite rom-com movies. They're playing pool. They're like, I really enjoyed the chemistry between Hugh Grant and Julia Roberts in Notting Hill. And the other guy's like holding his his pool cue, and he's like, I concur, but I am quite fond of Julia Roberts' chemistry more with Richard Gere in Pretty Woman. And they talk about rom-coms. And then Arnold walks in the door and gets their clothes and gets in a bar fight. I think that'd be fun. Let's have a movie about them. What about, in Back to the Future, what if there's a security guard at the mall? And we do a movie about his life. And he's hanging out, my life as a security guard at a mall is pretty boring. Maybe I should consider doing another job. Oh my gosh, did that DeLorean just disappear and leave a trail of flames? And then, the next day he goes and discusses watching the DeLorean disappear with his therapist. We do a whole movie about him. Also, in Empire Strikes Back, the scene where Darth Vader invites Han Solo and Princess Leia and Chewbacca into dinner? What if you do a movie about a waiter who lives on Cloud City? And that's one of the scenes. It's like, he comes in with the trays. Hello, Mr. Vader. Hello, guests. Would you like to hear our specials? Well, tonight's specials are, sauteed bantha and fried tauntaun. Mr. Vader, will you be using utensils or will you require a straw? And then you just do a whole movie about the waiter. Also, I really hope you're enjoying these. I worked so hard on these. I've actually been thinking about these for quite some time. This came out of my silly binder, most of these ideas. And I'll talk about my silly binder in some other video. So, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. So, the building in Dubai that Tom Cruise climbs up. You're telling me that Tom Cruise climbed up that Dubai building in that whole sequence, and there was nobody in that hotel who noticed Tom Cruise crawling outside their windows on the outside of the building? Maybe it was like, hey babe, I'm really enjoying hanging out in this hotel in Dubai. Aren't you? Oh yes, absolutely. This is fantastic. Yeah, I think we should just stay in and order room service. And oh my gosh, there's someone crawling with suction cups on the outside of the building. What is going on? Quick, we got a call down to the front desk. Hey, there's someone crawling on the outside of the building. What if we do a movie about that couple who saw Ethan Hunt crawling on the outside of the building? I think that'd be a great movie. Or not. But, it's like you're taking characters, minor character, or you're inventing characters in that case, but what if you take supporting characters from one movie and then just make a whole movie out of them? Judd Apatow did that with Knocked Up. He took what's his name, Paul Rudd's character, and I can't remember the other lady's character. I can't remember her name, but he made a whole movie about them called This Is 40. You could do that. You could take supporting characters and make movies out of them, and I have some ideas. Isn't this fun? What about Harry Met Sally? When Meg Ryan fakes the big O in the deli, what about the lady who says, I'll have what she's having? What if you do a movie about her? And she's sitting there talking with her friend, and this is how the movie starts. She's like, oh yes, well, you see, we were cremating Johnny's hamster in the backyard, and then the dog grabbed the flaming hamster and ran away to the wedding next door. And then, oh my goodness, is that woman climaxing in the deli? And that's how her movie starts. And then the rest of the movie is, her life. But you've already got an established character, and, she only had one scene in that movie. Let's make a whole movie about her. And also, in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, when the two guys take Cameron's sports car and take it for a joyride, oh my gosh, wouldn't you love to see a movie about those guys? What if they do that all the time? What if they take cars from the car garage and go on joyrides all the time? It'd be called Joyride. Speaking of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Cameron, played by Alan Ruck. Alan Ruck shows up in all kinds of movies. He was in Speed. He was also playing a character in Star Trek Generations in the start of that movie where he was one of the captains, right? And he was also on Spin City. And I like to think that was Cameron in each one of those movies. Because you could do that. You could take a character and put them just as that character in various movies that you make, just for fun. But I like to think that that's Cameron the whole time. I like to think that Cameron was in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and then he took a vacation and he was on the bus in Speed. And then he worked at City Hall in Spin City with Michael J. Fox for a while. And then he accidentally fell into a portal and got transferred into the future, into the 23rd century, and went to Starfleet Academy and became a captain. And I like to think that that's Cameron the entire time in all of those movies. Just like I like to think that Matt Damon's character in Good Will Hunting is also the same character in The Martian. I think Will Hunting went to California to find Skylar, and it didn't work out. And so instead, he went to botany school, and then he joined NASA and became an astronaut and went to Mars and got marooned. So The Martian is a sequel to Good Will Hunting. Why not? You could just continue a character into different movies that have nothing to do with the previous sequel, just for fun. I also like to think that Anne Hathaway's movie The Intern is a sequel to Devil Wears Prada. Just for fun. And, finally, you could take different supporting characters from various movies and put them all together in one movie. So if you took the Tatooine bartender in Star Wars, and you took Samuel L. Jackson character from Jurassic Park, and Marty McFly's sister from Back to the Future, and the talking apple tree from Wizard of Oz, and the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters, and you took all those characters and put them in the same movie, and they all meet, and they all do a heist. It's like Ocean's 11, but with all these supporting characters through various movies. Wouldn't you like to see some of those fun characters again? Because, you know, TV has been doing spin-offs for years. You know, from Happy Days, you got Joni Loves Chachi, you got Mork and Mindy, you got Laverne and Shirley, I think was a spin-off from Happy Days too. You got Frasier, which was a spin-off from Cheers. You got Young Sheldon, a spin-off from Big Bang Theory. Why can't you do spin-offs from movies like Judd Apatow did with This Is 40? Just spin-offs here and there. You know, when you run out of characters, when you run out of inventing new characters, just reuse the old ones. There's so many great characters from literally millions of movies that you can reuse. And I just think that would be fun. Maybe I could do a spin-off. Nathan After Dark. It's basically me watching sitcoms in bed, eating potato chips until I fall asleep. But that would be a fun spin-off. I could do a whole separate YouTube channel just for that. Anyway, I just have all these ideas, and I'm so glad that I can share them with you. Anyway, what do you think of this idea of taking, you know, various characters from movies and reusing them in new movies? Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me again. Thanks for listening to my mind spewing out randomly to you. And I really appreciate you hanging out with me and hopefully enjoying this. Have a fantastic day. The apple tree for the Wizard of Oz. Hanging out with Marty McFly's sister and the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Now that's a movie. The security guard. Oh my gosh! Did that DeLorean just disappear and leave a trail of fire? Oh, I need to talk to my therapist about this. And then he goes on an investigation to investigate, you know, and then he tells people nobody believes him. There's a movie in that. Keep thinking silly. Have a great day.